Hey guys, I'm here with Eric Triplett. We met and have connected through Instagram. I've seen some of the things he's been sharing and posting. Um, really wanted to get him on the podcast and talk to him about who he is in his business and stuff. So, Eric, nice to have you on.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Hey, to be true, bro, we met through the Lion's Den.
That's true.
That's and then we connected on Instagram.
Yeah, that's
Let's
true
get
too.
let's get that shit straight right away.
Yeah. I figured I would sneak that in a little subtly because it seems like everybody I've been interviewing is from the den. So, you know,
Good.
yeah,
Nothing wrong with that.
that's the whole thing. We were talking a little bit before about the purpose of this podcast and who I'm speaking to. I think that coaching groups are pretty important. And that's hopefully been portrayed by the fact that I'm talking to so many people that I've met through coaching, programs. Because I've talked to some other people on this that are from different coaching, avenues and people that are trying to better themselves. And I think we need a little bit more of that. So
Yeah, the whole world needs a lot more of that.
yeah, a little bit more. And you have a coaching group yourself too that I've
Yeah,
been
yeah.
a little bit involved of. It's pretty cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. So what do you do?
So the Pond Digger is my construction team, and
Yep.
we build ponds. And so to be on the Blue Collar Future podcast is cool for me because I come from the trades from 30 years ago.
Yep.
How old are you, bro?
25.
About 30. So like you weren't even born yet. Like, you know what I mean? So it's showing my age a little bit here. But I came up in construction, and then I eventually got out of it for a hobby and like chased my hobby as a business, which is aquariums and breeding fish and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And of course, a pond is a great place for fish, and so that's what attracted me into getting into ponds. And the really cool thing happened, Jared, is when I went from I was a carpenter, I was a framer, right? So I was
Yep.
journeyman framer. I was making pretty good money at the time. This 30 years ago, and I quit my job to like go into fish. I didn't have any responsibilities. I didn't have car payment, didn't have a house payment, didn't have any kids, had a girlfriend, like that kind of shit, right? So I could just kind of chase my shit for a little bit.
Yep.
And it took me to where I am today and running a business. But I got into the trades of framing when I was a young man, 17. I got into that. And then basically in my mid 20s, I quit and went into aquariums, like just putting aquariums in people's houses and shit. Like kind of
Yeah.
for the most part, people would think like foo-foo shit. Like it's not even that hard to work. You just play with fish.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing happened is then I started installing them in walls. I was a framer, bro.
Yeah.
So I would cut holes in walls and put aquariums in there and set up the lighting and do all this tight shit and frame it out. And then the doctor's office, they'd walk in the waiting room, there'd be an aquarium in the wall.
Yeah.
So like my trade allowed me to be that versatile when I got into
Yeah.
installing aquariums. But the really cool thing for me, Jared, is like I was pretty much, a solo kind of guy. And I had a
Mhm.
couple of apprentices and I had a couple guys running underneath me doing aquariums. But when I really got back into ponds, it's like the whole tradesman shit, like, and I still look at aquarium installation and maintenance as a trade and a home improvement service, right? But when I got back into pond construction, that's when like the trades really came back to me. And it's like I never left, bro. It's like I went right back into running crews like it was yesterday. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, what you said there, taking your trade and applying it to something else that you were doing is huge because the main benefit I see from people, there's such a push towards going to school, going to college, just because, not even because like you need it, just because like, oh yeah, you need to go get an education and go to school. Trades are an education that you get paid while you're doing them
Right.
and take it into just about anything. So it's super cool. I mean, just to see, taking framing, you're using your skills to install aquariums.
Yeah, for sure.
Super cool. That's super cool. Yeah. I see. I was a little bit confused when I saw Instagram the pond digger and the landscaping and stuff because you sell fish too. Do you have like a storefront that
Yep.
you? Yep, you do.
Well, we have a retail operation where we sell pond equipment as well. So we
Yeah.
manufacture pond equipment, we install it, we do service and repair, and then we have a place where you can come in and buy koi fish and aquatic plants. And so it's like we're attacking things at multiple levels. Basically, back in 2008, when the economy crashed, it was like I had to be super versatile from service and repair, routine monthly maintenance, manufacturing, like everything, because I wasn't going to quit and go back, to work for someone else at the time. I had to tough it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
What? So how many people do you think come to you and say, I mean, you have your coaching group. How important is it actually for people to go out on their own? Because there's such a push towards going and starting your own business, but realistically, like working for someone, you can learn um, and be there for quite a long time and make good money. Um, that really sustains a good life, and a lot of that headache doesn't really need to be taken on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The reality is, like, I think a lot of people put on too much emphasis on that. And plus it takes time, dude. Like,
Yeah.
so in my career, I've had guys work for me. I had one guy that worked for me, and he was first did ponds with me. He was out in the field every day digging and slinging rock and doing that. But he loved tile. He did some tile on the side. That was kind of his kind of passion, right? And then I moved him into fabrication, and he ran my fabrication department for as a trade, right? Running the routers and running all the tables and all that stuff. And then he would build out our equipment for us, our patented skimmers and all that stuff, right? So he's building out, but he worked for me for like 5 years. So, and then when he took me to the side, he's like, "Hey, bro, I really want to do this tile thing. I want to get my contractor's license. I just hope that's cool with you." And I'm like, "Fuck yeah, bro. This is for sure. Anything I can do to help, let me know." Because he'd been a really great employee to me, right?
Yep.
So I mean, you have to give value, and then you get value in return. Too many tradesmen like think that they're entitled to stuff, but bust your ass for someone and be a good employee, be a good tradesman, and then that's gonna develop into something else, right?
Yep.
And so when he said, "Hey, I want to do this," I'm like, "Whenever you want to go, no problem." And then we just tailored it to him, and now I refer him people business all the time
Yeah.
because he's a stand-up employee. But see, it still took 5 years of the grind for him to get to that point. It's not
Yeah.
something you show up overnight. You got to learn some stuff. You got to get your ass kicked. You got to get punched in the face. And you
Yeah.
got to, he was pretty close to me. So he saw me getting my ass kicked. So he's like, "Oh shit, I don't think I could have taken that kind of punishment today." So,
Yeah.
but he learned from it and then just still did the grinding, helped us grow the company in that regard. And then he was time for him to go.
Yep.
So even if you're going to go into business, you should still be honorable, respectful, loyal. All those things should still apply, because that's going to translate into going into your business one day if you decide to go that route.
Yep. Yeah. Well, it's almost like everybody needs to have one nowadays. So it just is curious because it does take time, and this internet social media thing has made everybody think that you get something for nothing without putting in that work and learning things and going to spending all that time. So that's interesting. That's interesting to me. How's your coaching going with all your
Yeah,
how's your coaching going, your coaching
the
group?
coaching's cool. It kind of, I'm just trying to be the best version of myself. I watched it, Frisella and Milet and
Yeah.
Waylon and all these guys, the all that stuff. So I'm watching all this kind of stuff. And so it's interesting because I've been coaching contractors and people. Like, look, I coached my own employee to become a contractor, right? And run his own shit, right? And I've coached him now. He hasn't worked for me for 5 years, and I'm coaching him onto how to sell right, how to communicate right, how to look at his numbers and that kind of stuff, because he was a great employee in the trade to me. And so I reciprocated it back. But the question is, how's the group going? It's like, I've been helping contractors for a long time. And so it got to a point where like, hey, I want to hone in on one thing and I want to, go at it. I don't even want to call it professionally because I'm really not making much money at it. It just kind of like pays for itself and the domains and all that stuff. So there's not a lot of money involved in it now. But you know what's really cool about it is it keeps me on my toes, keeps me on the like right on the game. It's like going to the gym, bro. If you stop going to the gym, you get weak, right? So it's like if I stop focusing on sales communications, and the best way you can become better at what you do is by teaching it to someone. And
Yeah.
so that was really a part of the motivation behind starting the coaching group.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
that's kind of how it's going. And I have a nice group of people. We got about 50 people in the group right now. And we have 2 coaching calls a week, and we chat it up and get focused on being better.
Yeah. Well, it's that whole being better thing. Like coaching groups are really popular right now, and I think with all the confusion in the world, and then all of that, you know, push to go be better, do better, make more money, and it's like, well, what do I do? How do I do that? Um, that's the in my mind as a young kid, I would say, go get a job, work for somebody, and then do coaching. Like work on being better yourself and learning things. Because at the end of the day, you can't just go start a business and expect it to um, be successful if you don't know. I mean, there's a lot of things that you're going to get that are going to get thrown at you that are going to be really hard to handle. So,
Yeah, I mean, look, and when it comes to as far as coaching goes, I mean, think about anything in life. And I mean, you and I are both in the Lions Den. It's a coaching group. We're looking to get better. Back in the day, you didn't have to read a book that if you wanted to learn something, right? And
yeah,
so, before I started my business in my early 20s, I read Awaken the Giant Within from Tony Robbins.
yeah,
In that book, he was like, find someone who's successful doing what you want to do and ask them for help. And if they say no, then ask someone else. Someone's going to help you, right? And it's true. I was like, hey, I want to get into the fish business, and I saw someone doing it. I introduced myself, and they were open to helping me. It was crazy, right?
mm,
And so that's essentially like the beginning of coaching, right? But it's like it's self-imposed because I'm like, I want to do this, find someone doing it, ask for help. And they kind of just they share their successes and failures, and that's how we win. That's how
mhm,
we shorten our learning curve to doing whatever we're doing. Think about the trades guys, tradesmen that we're talking to. Um, you become in as an apprentice, you don't know shit.
yeah,
You work under a journeyman, and that journeyman is your personal coach all day, every day. And some of them are really nice and helpful, and some of them, talk shit to you all day long and tell you quit being a bitch and let's go. And some people need tough love, and some people need a nice little pat on the ass. For me,
yeah,
it was tough love, and I grew because my journeymen were fucking animals,
mm,
but this is 30 years ago. You could be an animal and get away with it. Today
yeah,
it's today it's kind of soft, but
yeah,
I mean, think of that in coaching. I mean, I think that's really relatable. I worked under journeyman for like 4 years before I was able to be, turned free to, to dominate a crew on a roof.
yeah. No, for sure. No, for sure. That it's such a weird thing right now with the workforce. Um, because you see a lot of guys in the trades and in construction are having troubles finding help. I think it's more people are running their employees off because there's so many people nowadays that are just um, they don't need that tough love. It's I feel like more and more nowadays, more and more today, people don't want to hear that type of stuff. They don't want to hear like, "Come on, get your ass moving!" Like we got to go. And it's almost as if there's a culture change that needs to happen of some sort, you know, treating employees differently. I mean, what do you see there?
Well, it's tough, bro, because I mean, you said they don't need it, right? They don't need that kind of talk, but some
They may need it, but
sometimes they need it.
they don't want
Sometimes they need it. Yeah. And sometimes they don't need it, and sometimes they need it, right?
it.
And being the owner or the contractor or the journeyman that works for the contractor training the apprentices. That like and I struggle with that sometimes too, because I feel like I'm a good communicator. I feel like I'm a good trainer. I feel like I'm a good teacher. And then I teach, my crew, and then they have to teach below them. And sometimes they fuck up. They don't they don't have the experience I have. They don't have 20 years of doing it. They only been doing it for a couple, 2, 3, 4 years.
Yeah.
And so they're going to screw up a little bit, but I don't know if it's a culture change. I think the culture change is what's fucking the whole place up right now. We need to get back to getting down and dirty. That's how I think. We need to quit being soft with our $1,000 phones in the pocket, coming to work with a $5 soy latte upside down skinny bullshit drink. Let's get back to like showing
Yeah.
up 15 minutes early and rolling out. I would show up 15 minutes early and roll out my tools before we started work.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what was expected. And I just did it.
Yeah.
I didn't bitch about it. Now they show up like 2 minutes late and they're like, oh, well, I have a 5-minute leeway time, right? No, you don't have a 5-minute leeway. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to report it. I don't give a fuck. Get out.
Well, it's funny because I mean that's our mindset, but it's hard because a lot of people don't see that way, um, and it's weird to get people to understand that. You know, I've seen a lot where people we've hired, they don't care about being on time at all. They'll show up right when they're supposed to or late, and just not care. It's easier to go work somewhere doing something else where they can get that leeway because I guess what you're saying, like, people, they need that, but some, like, everywhere else isn't doing that. They're not getting on you.
Well, they're not on my team. They're not on my crew. I mean, we have to build that, bro. I mean, and as an owner, my guys know that I'll work just as hard as them. They know that I'll be on time. They know that that's what's happening. And so if the leader is not doing that, not communicating well, not being on time, not having integrity, then it's going to bleed off into the employees. And then the owner flips out, and then the employees are like, no, and they start showing up on time and barely making it to work on time. And so it's a kind of a vicious cycle. So, like Andy Frisella says, it's like personal excellence is the way to fix it. If the contractor himself that's running the trades, has all that integrity, then it should bleed down the line to the trade. I think.
Yep.
And it's going to come from the bottom to the top as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it will come from employees coming in that want to do the right thing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I want to take a second real quick. How do you find guys to be on your team? Because I think I see a lot of companies nowadays getting lazier, kind of because of what we're talking about. Like, it's hard to find people, and the people you do get are like that, don't care much. So how are you finding guys to work for you, and how's that been going?
That's a pretty damn good question, because it's weird because a lot of times it's friends of our employees, or I've been doing it a long time too, though. I have my YouTube channels got a lot of traction, so people watch it and they go, hey, I'd like to do this, looks like you're having fun. And so my brand equity after these years, a lot of people are like, hey, this is a cool trade. I know you've been around, you do some world-class shit, I want to be involved in that, right? And so by default, because of how long I've been doing it, the duration, I'm attracting some people, right?
Yeah.
But the important thing is, like, if you're just getting started and you wanted to attract the right people, think about the tradesmen that are listening to this, tradesmen, women, tradesmen, they're listening to this. Like, why do they want to come and work for a contractor? You get these guys that are putting ads, up on monster.com or whatever. And it's like, hey, no bitches, you got to show up on time. I have no pussies. We work hard. We work long hours and we work weekends. Serious inquiries only. Like, this is an ad that contractors are putting out. Like if you're a high quality, top level fucking tradesman, you want to work for an asshole like that? No,
Yeah.
no. Why do they want to work for you?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, so like the ad that I would put out would be something like, hey, are you interested in working outdoors? Are you interested in having weekends off? Do you want to make good money doing something you love? Do you want to connect with nature and touch people's lives with water? Do you want, do you want holidays off? Do you want, family time? What? Why would someone
Yeah.
high level want to come and work for you? It's almost like you're looking at their application, like, why would I hire you? But you should flip it, bro. Flip the script, and the way you write it should be like, why does the tradesman want to come work for you?
Yeah.
Right. So that's kind of how I would attract someone,
Yeah.
and be
But
like, this is why you should come work.
touch on that real quick. So it sounds to me it's really heavy on messaging and your brand equity, like what you said. That goes right along with what a lot of what I tell people, and a huge reason why I say to use social media, because the more you're putting out, the more you're sharing content, sharing what you do, sharing how it is to do what you do, you're going to attract those people. And then if you have employees and you're a good boss, your employees are going to tell, I mean, you're going to tell your friends, hey, yeah, you should come work with me. If you're an
Yeah,
employee and you have an awesome boss. But like even down to the ad, it's all down to your messaging and your culture in your company.
yeah, for sure. Culture is critical, for sure.
Yep. And it's interesting to look at how you build that, because I think a lot of people in trades nowadays, I think they take you know, like what you said with the ad, no bitches, like no pussies. We can't, we work hard, work
Yeah,
weekends. Like they take that too far, and they take it to where in the job, it's like demoralizing almost
for
if you
sure.
do go work for them. So, I'm looking at this for myself, because it's like, how can I be better as an employee, and as helping people come to my company and help grow, my dad's company. Um, like how would I attract how do you think you would attract someone who may or may not be interested, like how would that messaging be to attract new people?
Well, I mean, that is the way to attract new people, is to
Yeah.
make it attractive to them,
Yeah.
right? It's not attractive to, I mean, if you can you imagine reading an ad like that and you're like, if he wrote it like this, what does he sound like in person? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So that's not really attractive. So
Yeah.
attracting those people would be to, have a good brand, have a clean looking rig, have a have a message for your business. Touching people's lives with water is ours. It's like, hey, like this person has a mission. So here's the thing, bro. We're talking to tradesmen, and like they want to be involved in something bigger than just,
Yeah.
pouring concrete or building a pond or, roofing or framing or whatever. They want to be involved in something bigger than that. And so when your brand has some type of message like that, like we have a bigger purpose, then that's something that people want to get involved in. They want to jump on board with that. People like to be involved in a bigger picture like that. So it's kind of easy for me with nature and wildlife, and we have a wildlife rescue foundation and all this stuff. So like it's easy to get on board with that. With framing, and maybe it's a little bit harder,
Yeah.
but and in concrete, maybe it's a little bit harder. But I want to share with you something about creating the culture. And so, who Jesse Itzler is by chance?
Yep.
Jesse Itzler, he talks about a Kevin's rule, like doing, you have to look up Kevin's rule, Jesse Itzler, if you're listening to it. But it's like Kevin's rule is, like 4 times a year, he does something special that he'll never forget. And then, so I do that with my family, but I try and do that with my crew. Sometimes I fall short at 4 times a year, but like for me, and this is attractive, to spell this to the people that you're attracting to work for you in the trade, right?
Mm.
So like I remember last year, I took everyone golfing. So we had like 15 people, all the members, my team, my staff, everyone were going, right? So we go to the golf course, like only two of the guys had ever golfed before. And then I had like two like really close friends to me in the business, that like business kind of friends. they came on with us, right? And so we went golfing, and it was like a blast, man. We had dinner, and then we had beers and everything. It was like a really memorable thing. I made these golf shirts, Pond Digger golf shirts, like neon orange. It was fun, man. If you're
Yeah.
winning, your team is winning, and they're
Mhm.
having a good time. Those who play together stay together. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So like we all went golfing. They're posting it on their social media. Now they got their golf shirts, all this shit. Now like 4 of the people on my team, they love to go golfing. And they like only 2 of them had ever golfed ever. And one of the guys that used to golf a lot but stopped golfing got back into golfing and like recharged him into doing that. And so these are the kinds of things that would be attractive to the people on your team to stick around, and then to attract other, like when they're like pumped about their job, they're like, I went golfing day with my boss, and they're like,
Yeah.
what? How did that work? I thought you poured concrete. Well, yeah, but we golf sometimes. You
Yeah.
know, that's like cool shit.
Yeah. For
And
sure. No, that is super important. I think a lot of small crews and small business owners might not think that's very important, but in any successful business, you have do you know who Ryan Stewman is?
oh yeah,
Yep. He talks very heavily about mission statements, core values, all that stuff. And everybody knows those core values in that mission statement. And it's easy to get behind something that has the bigger cause. I think my message and what I took from this is anybody who is kind of a smaller crew, you still should be doing that to attract high level people. If you want to attract high level people and grow your business, you need to be creating a place that's attractive to them. And
yeah.
like bottom line.
Bro,
Yeah.
here's something really important to that. Most contractors are running on such thin margins they
Yep.
couldn't even afford to do that.
Yeah.
And so if you do have contractors that are listening to this, I mean, I'd love for them to reach out to me, talk about coaching, whether free consultation or whatever. I mean, I'm not trying to do a shameless plug here, but the point I'm getting at, I'm really not. But the point is, they're running their margin, running their business on such shitty margins, they can't afford to do that.
Yeah.
I took the whole 15 people the day off of work. I paid them for their wages, like bought shirts, like that. You have to know your numbers well enough and be good at sales communications, strong enough to where you can sell your product and get paid well, so you can take care of your people well, not only in their wages, but in like the culture of the company and what they want to do, company hats, all that stuff. And
Yeah.
so I think that's really important, because you could be a small level and be making, like, it's harder when you get higher, like I think I'm in
Yeah.
this spot. Like if I doubled, I'd probably be a little more comfortable, like being able to handle it more. But like in the spot, or if I went backwards, I would be real comfortable and not have to manage so much. I mean, I know contractors that are really lean, make great money, and they can do great things with a few
Yeah.
people, right? And I mean great things, like not only in the trade at work producing product, but the after work kind of stuff, and doing things that are memorable, and keeping your team engaged. Those who play together stay together. That kind of
Mhm.
mentality.
Yeah. Well, and I notice you're getting pretty passionate about this, and it makes me, it makes sense that you're, coaching people in this way. I think I sat in on one of your calls where you do the sales scripts.
Yeah.
I want to kind of talk a little bit about that, to kind of help people kind of understand how important it is to be able to sell. Um, so how do you run that through with people that are in your group, where you're where you're having them run through like I don't, I may be butchering this, but like a sales simulation almost.
Yeah. So we do role plays in the group.
Yep.
And like my primary focus is communications. Like, how can we
Yeah.
communicate well with a client? Too many contractors, run around town doing free estimates to people that they have, they never are going to get the job. Like,
Yeah.
hey, come out and give me an estimate. Yeah, I'm on my way. And it's like, they don't have enough money, and they don't have, like, they want it done sooner than you can even get to it. But
Yeah.
the contract is driving out to the house, wasting an hour, coming home, writing up a proposal, emailing it to them, calling them. Like, it's just a fucking chase of nothing, right? And so like my goal, and I went through this shit. So trust me, I'm teaching I'm preaching what I did, right? So now it's like about having a conversation over the phone and talking to the person. And they're like, hey, can you come out and give me an estimate? Most contractors go, yeah, what's your address? I'll come on Saturday. I'll miss my kid's softball game just so I can come and maybe get this job because I'm not making enough money on the other jobs I have.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of contractors are stuck right there. So for me, it's like, hey, bro, I'd love to come out to your place. Thanks for the invitation. Would it be cool with you if I just ask you, a handful of questions about your project just to make sure I can even help you?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a simple ask. And they're like, oh,
Yep.
yeah, yeah. Like, what do you want to know? And then now it's my table and I can start asking them what they want to do.
Yep.
And even say, hey, would you be opposed to like just like I'm on a phone right now. Would you be opposed to just shoot me a text of what's going on in your backyard so I can see what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Like, no problem. I don't go like, hey, can you just send me a photograph? They're like, oh God, this guy wants a photograph now. But if you're like, hey, would you be opposed to just snapping a quick photograph of your backyard so I can see what's going on back there? Would you be
Yeah.
opposed to doing that, Jared? Oh no, I guess not. I'll just get a picture real quick, right? It's like the words that we say
Yeah.
really. And so now, instead of just running out there, I'm getting them to, I'm professionally asking them to send me a photograph. I'm looking at the photograph. Oh, cool backyard. What's going on? What are you hoping to get done back here?
Yeah.
Open-ended questions. And they're like, oh, I want a pond. I want a waterfall. I want a walkway. I want a fire pit. Oh, fire pit? Oh yeah, we do fire pits on the weekends. We roast marshmallows, me and the kids. Like they're just giving me information. And then we take that information and process it. And before the phone call's done, we're sharing numbers with them.
Yeah.
And so,
Pre-qualifying people almost.
yeah, no, it's
Before.
absolutely
Yeah.
100% pre-qualified. But they
Yeah.
don't know that I'm like, hey, bro, yeah, I'll come out. But first, I just want to know how much money you're going to spend to see if you can even afford me.
Yeah.
Like you can't fucking say that to someone. You know what I mean? So, but really, that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
I want to make sure, for me to go like, hey, I just want to ask you some questions and make sure we're the right fit for each other. It doesn't really sound that sexy to say that, but that's really what I'm doing.
Mm.
Like I don't want to go out on a date with you if can't even connect over the phone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what I train. That's what we train in our group. And then, as offshoots of that, we'll talk a little bit about marketing. We'll talk about employees, and we'll talk about knowing your numbers and job costing. And that's all part of it. It's all important. So, and that's important to estimating. So we definitely touch on that stuff.
Well, that sales communication process can be applied to everything. I mean, you think about being an employee and trying to find somewhere to work. Being an employee is a contract, but you're entering into a contract with your employer. Why do the same thing with them, or as an employer, scanning through potential employees, doing the same type of oh yeah, well let me ask you a few questions before we actually get down to like see if you're a right fit for our company.
And meet in person, right? Before we
Yeah.
meet.
Yeah, before we waste that time. I mean, you could twist that however you want to scan through people that may not actually show up to work on time, and that takes some time to find people that aren't going to do that, and you probably go through a few people, but at least you might cut down on the people that come to work for a few days and then just don't come back, and then attracting high level people, super important. Well, we're coming up on time here, Eric. Is there anything else you'd like to add though? Because we got about another 10 minutes, but I mean, anything else that you want to talk about?
No, I did want to share back on that. Oh, hold on. Back on that Kevin's rule thing I told you about.
Yeah.
I remember one time we hired a guy and it was like a Thursday. It was his first day. I hired him on Wednesday night. Thursday's his first day. At the end of the day, we had this little like tailgate meeting. And then I was like, all right, hey everyone, tomorrow morning, show up at 7 as normal. But we're gonna go fishing. So like be here at 7, we're gonna go over here, we're gonna go fishing. We're like, and so this new guy standing there, he didn't know anybody on the team, and he's just like looking around. He's like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah, we're going fishing in the morning. And it was funny because he thought I was like pulling his leg. But the next day he shows up in like shorts and he's got like a paddle board and shit like that. And he comes walking up like, I hope I'm not getting punked right now, you know? And so that's sure as shit. Like we loaded all up and we went down, had coolers of beer and like food. And like we just sat around fishing and we bullshitted.
Yeah.
We got to know each other better. You know what I mean? Like it's like everyone got a chance to talk, laugh a little bit. There's a lot of pressure. Like you do concrete, right? So like you guys are finishing or you're doing forms, the concrete truck's coming. It's fucking stressful, right?
Yeah.
And so like there's some camaraderie at the end when like the job's finished and job well done. It's cool, but like when you're fishing and you know someone gets worm juice on their face or something, you're laughing and like you know you're getting a beer for someone. It's like suddenly there's like this a cool bond like that. So
Yeah.
you know, I think that's cool stuff. And
Yeah.
I don't know why it wouldn't be okay for, you know, someone like an entrepreneur, someone who's in the trade, the journeyman, to go to the boss and go like, hey, I want to take the guys out. We want to go fishing. Like, let's arrange this. We got to get to know each other a little bit more. You know, like all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. You know, let's
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Right?
Yeah.
So like that kind of stuff can happen. It means a lot. It goes a long way.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, that's awesome insight. I know I've, learned quite a bit from watching and listening to your content that you're putting out. So I hope that we've touched on something that somebody may need to hear. You know, create a culture that's going to attract people. Maybe let's talk real quick about being an employee that will be enjoyable to be around. I mean, because there's so much talk about being an employer that's going to attract the right employees, but being an employee that's going to not run away people. Like, I'm gonna be honest, in my day, I've gotten pretty frustrated at people and really taken it out, and it's not, acceptable. So being an employee and managing that, and like you said, concrete with the stress, like it gets pretty hard to be in a good mood and be positive around people without so let's talk a little bit about being an employee and perpetrating that positive sphere, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's going to come in people's personalities. I mean, I like personality profiling a lot. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I like Enneagram personality typing or disc profile, all that stuff. I think that's kind of important. And I think something like that is important. It's all going to come from the top, bro. If the top is creating the culture, then they should squash that kind of negative attitude that's happening. So if there's a high level employee that's really producing a lot, but he's an asshole and makes the rest of the team not produce as well, it's just as good getting rid of that person and then boosting the morale of all the rest of the team, and then production goes back up, right? So it's going to come from the top down. It's going to come from those events where they get to know each other and stuff like that. But one thing is really important that I've had everyone on my team take a profiling test. And so it helps them understand who they are. So I communicate differently than my wife. My wife communicates differently than my daughter. And, one of my employees, he's been with me 8 years. Like he used to bug the shit out of me. Like I would get so upset with him sometimes because like he was just like, he thought too long about certain things. And just like, I was just going crazy. Right. Yeah. And then when I took the personality profiling, his personality needs more time to think. He needs more time to decide. And they're like a little bit indecisive, and it's just his personality. He's not doing it to annoy me. He's not doing it because he's an idiot. He just takes more thought process to get to the move, right? And so now everyone on my team knows that that's the way he functions. And so instead of getting mad at him for functioning that way, let's go, that's the way he is. Now we can help him a little bit like that. And I think that's a big determining factor, right?
Yeah.
And that's just one little example, but all those examples, spiral in all different kinds of ways.
Yeah, for sure. That's a super good point, and Honestly, I'll probably be taking that, taking that into my own sphere here. So, no, I appreciate that. That was just something that came up to me because it's like, you know, the camaraderie and the communication in between employees is important too. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of, like you said, top level guys that are assholes, and I'm not being subtle here. I'm probably one of them. So, and I don't want to be, but it's always working. It's always working towards something, always working towards being better somewhere.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, it's been an awesome conversation, Eric. Where can people go to find more about you? Where's your group, Instagram, all that?
Yeah, yeah, cool. So it's at the Pond Digger. You can find me pretty much everywhere: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. At the Pond Digger. My coaching group is a private group on
Yep.
Facebook, and so it's TWT, which means Train with Triplett, because we're training all day. I don't want to lose anything. So Train with Triplett Contractor Circle is like our free group, and then we have Train with Triplett Contractor Power Circle, which is our paid group, which I've invited you in to check it out.
Yeah. 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 It's been cool. It's been really cool seeing. I've been remiss to not be able to be as involved as I might think. So I will be here, shortly. But
Hey,
yeah.
listen, next week is 52 weeks. So like we have our roadmap live
Yeah.
52 next Tuesday, and then our roadmap live, I mean our weekly compass 52 on next Friday. So it's like our year of coaching. And I'd really love it if you could, you'd show up to that one. And
Yeah.
then if a couple contractors that are interested in coming to it, let me know. And past that, if someone's interested, we can do like a 30-day trial. They can come in and just see what's up. Because
Yeah.
it takes a while for people to get, like, they don't know what to do. They're kind of
Yeah.
nervous, they're shy. But we offer for people to come in and take a peek at what it's like. But
Yeah.
Roadmap Live is on Tuesday. I mean, it's like we're in a business, we're fighting, bro. Like we're out there, we're fighting. So like we want to know where we're going every Tuesday. We take a look at the roadmap so we can continue on to the right spot. And then on Fridays we do our weekly compass, and we just make sure we're headed due north. And then we review basically where we've been and where we're going. It keeps us on track, bro. That's what it's all about.
Awesome. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
I'll include links everywhere for it, and I'll be there.
All right,
So
cool. I'll look forward to it, bro.
yeah, I'll
All
be
right,
there.
man. I'll hold you to it.
Yeah.
Thanks
All
for letting
right.
me
Well,
do the test. I really appreciate it.
yep. Yep. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you. We'll keep in touch.